Right then, boys. Chelsea 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Our first pre-season game and the first game of the new season. If you could really call it a pre-season game. I know Maresca was quite reluctant to really call it that. We haven't had much of a break since the Club World Cup and us beating Paris Saint-Germain. Myself included, not think we were going to win that game, but definitely won't complain in the manner that we did. Uh, so yeah, our first game back from the for the pre-season. Now we've got a quick turnaround, right? So we're playing against Milan on Sunday, and the time of recording this now is technically Saturday. So we don't have much time at all until we're playing again. So he's going to rotate a bit. We're going to see some of the youngsters playing as well. But yeah, so we got that game on 3 p.m. So it's an early one as well. So that'll be exciting. So I'll be covering that. I'll do a video tomorrow. Just, if Maresca comes out and he's talking about what sort of players he might use, I'll go through some different lineups and we can talk about that as well. So I'll do a video on that tomorrow. But in general, let's just quickly break down the game against Leverkusen. In the first half, I mean, throughout the whole game, really, we completely dominated. If I just bring up the stats here. Yeah, this tells you all you need to know, right? 70% possession, 24 shots to 4, 9 shots to target to 2, 4 big chances, 0. So, we dominated, and that was evident to anyone watching the game as well. So it wasn't really much of a contest by a Leverkusen with Eric Ten Hag. They came to the bridge. I think they knew they were a bit outmatched. Can't really go gung-ho against us, especially if you saw what we did to Paris Saint-Germain. If you want to play that way, we're going to expose you, especially down that right-hand side. And now with the addition of Estevao, that makes our right-hand side even more dangerous, So we're definitely stronger on that side compared to the left. But you'll see, with Bino Gittins coming on that left-hand side, he only had a 30-minute cameo, but I was really excited about that. But we'll talk about that a bit later. But if we just start from goalkeeper and then we'll progress through the team, just talking about how everyone performed. Jorgensen, I think it was a good game for him. Look, wasn't anything special, but he was composed. He was tidy from playing out from the back. Didn't rush anything. Wasn't too hesitant with letting the ball go. He had a few good opportunities where he was throwing the ball long for us to counter-attack, throwing it on to Estevao and Gusto and Palmer, so we can try and get some sort of counter-attack going. So I did like that as well. And ultimately, I think he's just going to be a good keeper to be second string to Sanchez. Now, if Sanchez had a good end to the season, right? But we'll make no we won't rush past it. The first half, the amount of errors leading to goal, wasn't acceptable. Myself, I was saying we need to get this guy out of the team. But fair enough, he turned it around. He proved me wrong. He showed what a capable keeper he can be, and especially in the Club World Cup and the last couple of months of the season, he was really good. So he deserves to have another season as our main keeper. He's earned that, and Jorgensen's good enough to be backup, and he can always come in and do a job. Now, do the two keepers we have, are they world class? Are they showing us they could be world class? In my opinion, no. I don't think in a couple of years from now, we're going to say, oh, this keeper's top 5, even top 10 in the world. No, I don't think that's going to be a case. But we don't necessarily have to have a truly world-class goalkeeper. As long as they can do a job, they're consistent, they do a 7 out of 10 every game, they can play out from the back, which is obviously what Maresca wants. He doesn't want any long balls, no hoofing it, just getting rid of it and panicking. He wants us, our keepers, to be composed, play out from the back, progress the ball, beat the press, and play through the middle, right? So this is what Maresca wants us to do. So I think the two keepers we've got for now, for a couple of years, they're fine. Now, obviously, we were looking at Mike Maignan. I think it's a good sign-in, but if we could potentially get him next season on a free, that's probably why they didn't go out and dish out the money, because Milan, they weren't even really talking for too much money for him. But I think he's not going to renew. Or if they got information that he was going to renew, they weren't going to dish out extra money for him. We can get him on a free next year. I don't think anyone in the Chelsea fan base is going to be too upset with that, right? But they're talking quite highly and praising Mike Penders quite a lot, right? So I think he'll have a couple years at Strasbourg and then maybe a year in the Prem just to find his feet. He is still very young for a goalkeeper. And he could potentially be that. He's definitely got world class potential. Whether he actually reaches his potential is another question. But he could be that keeper for us. And is Jorgensen and Sanchez, are they good enough to do a job for a couple of years? Yeah, I think so. Especially with Maresca coaching them and the sort of team we've got at the moment. I think these guys are okay to do a job. And if Mike Penders truly develops into the player he could be, then we've got our world-class goalkeeper, and we don't really need to dish out any major money. But alternatively, if we can get Mike Mannion on a free next season, depending how obviously our season, it's all hypothetical, isn't it? If Sanchez has a truly good season and we get top two, top three in the Prem, maybe we don't even need to sign Mike, even if it's on a free. But we'll see how the season goes. But for me, it was a good performance by Jorgensen. And I think he's good enough to play in the Carabao Cup, for FA Cup, fill in for Sanchez. He's definitely good enough. I think he showed that. Now, Gusto, it just shows in our sort of tactical lineup how fluid we can be, right? Because against Paris Saint-Germain, it was Cucurella was the one tucking in and Gusto was the one bombing down this right-hand side with Palmer, and they were doing that sort of overlap. Or he'd pass to Palmer, Palmer would cut in. That's how Palmer got the 2 goals against Paris Saint-Germain, right? And it was simple. It was just Sanchez basically just hoof it down. He would long ball it, and Gusto would run onto it because that's Gusto's strengths, right? Is his athleticism, pace, and off the ball movement. But it just showed, when Maresca wants to change it up, Gusto was the one inverting. He was playing that sort of back three formation here, and it was Cucurella going forward this time. So we obviously thought maybe George needs a bit more of support with that left-hand side overlap, and we didn't really need it on the right-hand side, and it definitely worked. I think Gusto, he played well, just inverting. It's not playing to his strength necessarily, but I think it was a good performance nonetheless. And now the Champion, I'm a big fan of this player. I wanted him to play more last season because I thought the few cameos he did, he showed really great promise. Now I'm a big fan of Football Manager. I play too much, really, if you saw my hours played. But this is a player I like personally using at Chelsea because he can develop. He can play, as a centre back in a 4 or like a right-handed centre back in a back 3, and he can even play as like an inverted right back, tucking in as like a centre back. I think he's great on the ball. He's smart, composed. Doesn't rush anything. His passes forward, I thought, were really good. So it's a few times defenders, they take the safe approach and they'll just pass it sideways. With a Champion, what I like is he'll do those forward break-in passes. So he was passing it fast into Palmer, who would then take it on the half turn, spin and run forward, right? We'd pass it into Caicedo or Santos. So I thought a Champion, really good performance by him. I want to see him play more. Now the only problem is he needs to play football, right? So if we sign with Colwell's injury, and we'll get onto it a bit later anyway, with Colwell's injury, Maresca has made it public that he wants another centre-back, and it makes sense. Colwell was super important to the way we play with that left-handed, left-sided centre-back. So if we bring one in, we've already got quite a few centre-backs at the club, and if Fofana comes back from injury, Badiashile comes back from injury, right? We've got Tosin, we've got Chalobah who can play here. He's in a position where we've got depth, and especially because we're going to probably sign another centre-back, he needs to play. So I'd like to keep him at Chelsea, and I'd like to see him get minutes and play. But I can also understand if we sign another centre-back and he's only going to get cameos in the Carabao Cup, it makes sense to loan him. He's good enough to play, in a bottom half sort of Premier League team, definitely, or even if he goes abroad. I think a full season just playing consistently would be very beneficial to him. But personally, I'd like to keep him at Chelsea. I think he's really good promise, and it's nice to have a homegrown player in there. So I would keep him. Chalobah, it wasn't his best game, but Chalobah, since he came back from his loan at Palace, he's been unbelievable for us. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. And obviously, he doesn't really want to play on this left-hand side, and especially with Cucurella was the one going forward and not inverting. So Chalobah was a bit on the left, and obviously he's a right-handed sided player. So I can understand that was a bit out of position, but it wasn't a bad game. But it wasn't his best. And then Cucurella, obviously we know what Cucurella's going to bring for us. Tenacity. He's going to be a dog. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to bomb up and down and tackle. Just another good game for him. Only played the first half, so we can't speak too much. Caicedo, just typical Caicedo performance everywhere, winning the ball, getting called for fouls, even though they're not fouls. But I think the refs just don't think he can win the ball from where he does, and he'll blow for a foul. But you see it in slow mo. He wins the ball. It's not a foul. We saw that how many times last season. But look, a good performance by Caicedo, nothing special. Santos, I think he's really going to grow into a player this season. Was the best midfielder in League One at Strasbourg last season. Pretty much, he's a bit more dynamic, right? He's more of a box to box. I'd say he's more of an 8 than a 6. You get a lot of good off the ball movements with him. So I think he's going to fill in a bit for Fernandes, really. I think Caicedo and Lavia, they're going to be the sort of similar player. And then when Enzo needs a rest or he's going to rotate, I think Andre Santos will play that Enzo role a bit better. But obviously, Lavia doesn't stay fit. So we're going to see how that develops as well. But, good performance. He's definitely going to grow into a great player. I'm no doubt about that. And Estevao, the main man everyone wanted to watch, myself included, very excited to see his debut for Chelsea. Yeah, he delivered. A lot of people, before we bought him, were saying it was just another youngster. Why are Chelsea just hoarding all these youngsters? We don't need to buy him. But from the get-go, my stance was this is a player you don't miss out on. Okay, if Real Madrid could have got him, they would have. If Barcelona didn't have Yamal coming through the ranks, playing in the same position, no doubt he would have gone to Barcelona, because I know Barcelona were linked with him as well. But there's just that competition. They've got a generational player in Yamal, so it just sort of aligned perfectly for us that Estevao could come to us. And this isn't a player you just you turn down, okay? With the amount of talent and also the mentality, what I like about Estevao, he doesn't just have the flair and the typical Brazilian Bogo Janito. No, he's level-headed. You can tell he's smart. He's wise beyond his years. When you listen to him in interviews, he doesn't sound like an 18-year-old kid. That's what I like about him. You can tell he's hard-working. He's definitely going to develop into a great player. The Brazilian press were all over him. Calling him Messinho. I watched him quite a lot last year as well, and he's just bullying grown men. And the Brazilian league's a great league. We saw that in the Club World Cup. These Brazilian teams, they were playing great football against the European teams, and Estevao was bullying them. Broke Neymar's record. Really excited for him. Now him and Neto are playing in that position. So we'll have to see how that develops. But even him coming off the bench, there's great competition now in the Chelsea attack. We've been freed from Madueke. That's a player I did not like or rate. So glad Arsenal gave us money for him. Money that we're going to use for Xavi Simons. Hopefully we get that deal done soon. But look, Estevao, generational player. We just need to hope now he can stay injury free. We can keep playing him. And I liked how he went into the central position as well once Palmer came off. He can play down the middle. He can play on the right wing, or he can play that sort of shadow striker down the middle role. And I think he'll do both really well. I quite like him on the right though, because he's so dynamic. He can beat a man. I think he's just the perfect right winger to cut inside. Perfect for Maresca's system. This season he's going to really show why he's one of the best youngsters in the world. Cole Palmer, it was a great performance by him. Didn't put a foot wrong. Lovely half turns. His playmaking. He, led to the goal for Estevao by hitting the woodwork. 2 shots, 2 chances created in only 45 minutes. You don't need to say much about Palmer, right? Everyone knows how good Palmer is. Now I thought, Tyreek George, it wasn't a great game by him. I do wonder if the sort of pressure is getting to him. He has been linked with a few moves away in the Prem and abroad. And obviously, we're bringing in Xavi Simons, who plays in his position. And we're also, it looks like we're going to sign Garnacho, which I don't agree with. I don't like the Garnacho signing. I don't rate his personality. I think he's a bad apple. And I don't really rate him as a player either. No, I'd love for him to prove me wrong, but Garnacho, I just don't rate. I don't really like him. But for 30 million, if we do get him for 30 million, look, it's not bad. It's not terrible money. You know, if we had a player like Garnacho, we'd sell him for 55, 60 million. I think it's just the nature of United aren't great sellers, and due to the personality as well, I think they just want him gone. So if we get him for 30 million, look, it's not a bad price per se. I just don't rate the player. I don't think we need him. If we get Xavi Simons, we've got Xavi Simons and Bino Gittins on the left. Neto can even play off the left. João Pedro can play there as well. Like, we've got depth. And even if we kept Tyreek George, he can play there. So I don't think we need to bring in another left winger. Like, I know he can play on the right as well, but he's no better on the right than he is the left. And if I don't really rate him on the left, why would I really want him on the right? So, look, for me, it's a no for Garnacho, but it looks like we're going to get the deal done. So I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. And then Delap, I thought it was an okay performance by Delap. Look, it's going to be hard with Bayer Leverkusen sitting so deep. Look, they're putting two men on him. It's going to be hard for him to do much. That's why we needed the players on the wide positions to open the game up a bit more, which Estevao did, really well. So look, tough game for Delap. It wasn't, it's not like his forward runs were great. I think his off the ball movement's really good. He's aggressive. If we were playing against a team who wanted to play a bit more football and had a higher line, he would have shown a bit more. But that's just the nature of how Bayer Leverkusen set up. And look, it was smart for Bayer Leverkusen to do that instead of going gun ho. Joel Hatto, I thought it was a great debut by him. Sort of no emotion. I liked it. You can tell he's quite a cold character. He came on, no nonsense. It was tidy job. He's comfortable in possession. This is a really talented player. And look, you can play inverted on the left. You can play as that left-sided centre back. And he can even go forward if that's what you desire. He's got a good cross on him as well. So it was a really smart, astute signing. Happy with that. Tosin, it was okay. He came on, he did a job. Not too much to say. What I really liked though is Asugo. I thought his performance was really good. He looks like we know he's another kind of Caicedo player. He's gonna hustle. He's gonna work hard. Good tackle. And look, he's young, 20. I think he's going to be a great player to bring off the bench. And if we got any injuries, Lavia can't really stay fit, he's going to play and he's going to develop. So definitely a midfielder to look out for this season. I've got good hopes for him. Pedro Neto, coming off a really great Club World Cup. I haven't been the biggest Neto supporter. I think he's good, but the Club World Cup showed what sort of player he can be. Look, he's still quite young as well, 25. He's still got some more development and growth to do. I like him off the right more than the left. I think he's a lot better cutting in onto his stronger foot than playing left and sort of bombing down the left and just crossing and not really cutting in. So yes, I think he's dynamic, he's aggressive, he's fast. I think it was a good performance by Neto. Jamie Gittins, there was that one play where he just did a few step overs and just ran at them, and we showed that there's the dynamic pace. And this can be an exciting player to bring off the bench, and he's so young that he's going to develop it with his time at Chelsea. And the fact that we could sell Madueke for 50 million and bring in Jamie Gittins for cheaper, it shows we're run well. And yeah, I think he's going to be a good signing for us. Just off the against Milan, he's probably going to start, so we'll see a lot more. But yeah, definitely a great player. And now João Pedro's played 120 minutes for us, and he's got 4 goals. I was really happy when we signed him. I thought he's so versatile. He can play anywhere across the front 4 essentially. And he's so technically proficient. I really think he's going to be a great player for us. You can just see the composure, the finishing. We're freed from Jackson, basically. You can see when Jackson's striking the ball, he just doesn't have the natural technique for it. For me, Jackson's misprofiled. I see him as a winger, or at least a two-man striker partnership. He's not an out-and-out striker. Just his technique in striking the ball, you can just see that. João Pedro is night and day. So one for the FPL teams as well. He's quite cheap. He's in mine, so yeah, I definitely have a look at him. He's going to be starting. And yeah, I thought the two academy kids when they came on, this guy is quite hyped up in the academy scene. I think he did play in the Carabao Cup, I want to say last season, or at least came on in the Club World Cup. And no, they're quite tidy players. They need to play more. They're going to go out on loan, I imagine. And Solmino, he'll probably go out on loan as well. They just need more time to play, So all in all, it was a great performance. You can't really put a foot wrong. We dominated the game. We sort of dictated what we wanted to do, and we got to see Estevao, which was everyone was waiting for, right? So that was great. I'll do a video tomorrow, just breaking down this game as well. We're going to see a lot of rotation. I'm imagining probably Delap starts again because João Pedro played quite a bit in the Club World Cup, even though he was on holiday, right? So I'll make a team and what I think we might play. But this will be a good watch. So excited to see that again. And then also, if we just want to talk about the game afterwards as well. So Maresca did make it quite public. He did say he wants to replace Colwell. It's a priority for him. And you could see how important Colwell was for us in the last second half of the season, right? A bit wobbly at the beginning. Especially maybe after the Christmas period until about March. But then I say from March onwards, he wasn't really putting a foot wrong. He really came into himself. It's just unfortunate, an ACL in the first training session. It's just unfortunate, right? So he's out for the full season. It makes sense. Maresca's going to want to get, even if we get someone on loan, just for, that one season, we can't expect Joel Hatto to just come in and just immediately cement his place. I think he needs to, be bed in a bit more. He needs time to develop and meet some of the team, and get comfortable. And he probably won't be doing that until 6 months into the season. So Maresca, he wants a centre back. Let's see, the board will probably back him. I'll make a video as well tomorrow, just going through a few names I think like realistic, and then also a few that I would like us to see go for. So I'll just go through a few players, see who we might go for. Like, the dream would be Bastoni, but look, there's no way Inter are letting Bastoni go for cheap, right? They're not going to let him go. So we'll see. But never say never. They do need money. Okay, and also just came out as well. He was speaking to Winstanley and Stewart. So they'll probably mention some names. Let's keep an eye out on Fabrizio and see who we get linked with. But that's going to be it for today's video, boys. So just all in all, that was a good performance. Look, we'll be back tomorrow, and then we've got the game on Sunday, so there'll be quite a few videos coming. So if you did like the video, drop a thumbs up and subscribe, because I'll be covering more Chelsea. And thanks for watching. Cheers.